Let's face it, life isn't always the party we thought it would be. So how do we find the joy when we need it? And what if it's up to us to create it? That's where the Party On podcast comes in. Our goal? To shine the proverbial disco light on all the things that can make our lives easier, healthier, and a heck of a lot more fun. So we can enjoy the party we were all invited to, live our best lives, and dance like no one's watching. Hey friends, welcome back to the Party On podcast. I am so glad you are here to talk about all the ways that we can add joy into our lives. And I'm super excited about our topic today because I think it is something that affects everyone. And if you're one of those people that you say it doesn't affect you, I'm not going to lie, I'm not quite sure I believe you. So today we're talking about how to stop caring about what other people think of you. And that is not an easy feat. So I want to jump in with something that happened to me a few weeks ago. So I had an event that I needed to attend, and I was super excited about this event because, for me at least, chances to go to an event and get all dressed up are few and far between at this stage in my life. So I was so excited and had planned my outfit for this themed event. And I was getting ready in my closet and I put the dress on and it was slightly too revealing. And I mean like slightly too revealing. And I just cratered. I was like, I can't wear this. I cannot wear this. And my husband was like, what? Why? To him, it was totally acceptable. And so I put it back and wore a safer option. And actually, that's like the quick way of explaining it. What happened was I turned into a tornado in my closet and clothes were flying this way and the next. And I just could not settle on something that would be acceptable to other people. So I finally went with something that other people wouldn't really notice. I mean, I liked it. I felt okay in it. But I would blend in. I wouldn't really stand out. I put the first dress back not because I didn't love it, but because I was worried about what people would think. And the thing I realized was I was editing myself in that moment for an audience that wasn't even there. No one else was standing in that closet but me. No one was criticizing me. No one was standing there judging me, saying that's too revealing, you're 45, you can't wear that, except me. It was the voices in my head that caused the chaos, made me feel horrible about myself, and ultimately made me change and edit myself and shrink myself. And I think we do this all the time with so many things in life that are so much more important than clothes. So much more important than clothes. We maybe don't post something we want to share because we're afraid of how others will receive it. Or we don't say the thing that we want to say because we're afraid of what people will think. Or even worse, we don't pursue the thing that lights us up because maybe it's something that other people may not find acceptable, or at least we think they won't find it acceptable. And none of these things, it's not because we don't want to, it's because we are afraid of what people will think. And the wildest part is, I honestly think the people we're worried about probably aren't even paying attention. So today we're talking about how to stop caring about what other people think of you. Not in a reckless way, but in a way that frees us to live honestly and much more authentically. But first, I want us all to understand how normal it is to care, like biologically normal. We've talked about this a bit in the last few episodes, but we as humans are wired for connection, and without it, we feel completely threatened. Fear of abandonment can creep in, all sorts of things. So, of course, we care what other people think. Of course we care if we're being judged. It hurts when we're judged. And if it's happened to us before and it brings back old memories, of course we don't want that to happen. Like, we're all human. We're all in the same boat. Yours truly included. The problem happens when we let the fear of being judged become stronger than our desire to be ourselves. But here's the mindset shift I want us to think about. Are you ready? And I just kind of said it, but here goes. No one cares. Truly. And once we understand this, I think it is so incredibly freeing. Most people are so worried about their own problems, their own outfits, their own jobs, or thinking about themselves that they are not at all concerned with us. It's all something that we have manufactured in our heads. So that spotlight we feel like we're under, completely imaginary. Just like me standing in my closet, there was no one in there but me. And I guarantee you when I went to that event, all worried about my dress, even though I chose the safer one, everyone else there was too worried about theirs to notice mine. So I also want to pose the idea that caring too much is actually dangerous. And this is tricky because it poses like it's protecting us, but it's actually hurting us. Because when we worry too much about what other people think, or what other people are thinking if they're judging us, we're shrinking ourselves. And then we start to avoid ourselves. We start to avoid new things. We start to hide parts of our personality. And just overall, we start to live falsely. And we spend our lives trying to be just acceptable to everyone. And when you do that over and over and over again, you slowly become invisible to yourself. And that, you guys, is the beginning of losing who you truly are, which is the most dangerous thing, in my opinion. So, the $1 million question here. When it feels so darn important to us, when we're wired for connection, when we have fear of abandonment, how do we care less about what people think of us? And I think we have to have a reality check of sorts. And I think a good place to start is reminding ourselves of what we can and cannot control. Because we can't, no matter what we do, control other people's opinions of us or perceptions of us. We can't control their projections. We can't control any of it. Like what they think of us belongs in their head. I think I heard someone say once upon a time, what someone thinks of us is none of our business. And I just love that because it creates this almost visual of their thoughts belong in their head and my thoughts belong in mine. So we can't control their perceptions of us, their opinions of us. What can we control? That's the question. We can control our values. We can control our thoughts, our actions, our honesty, and our authenticity, how much we are being ourselves. We can be kind, we can be caring, we can be all of it. We can be who we're supposed to be and live our life how we see fit. And I mean like not safely, in the best version of ourselves. And the rest is up to the other person on how they perceive it. Because when we get hyper fixated on how other people perceive us, it controls our behavior. And that's not what we want at all. That's when we start changing and shape-shifting. So the work is to learn to let go of how people perceive what we are doing, what we are posting, what moves we're making in our career, what decisions we're making in our relationships. I think I've said before that I am an HSP, which is a highly sensitive person. If you don't know what that is and you feel like you maybe are more sensitive than other people, look it up. Highly recommend learning much more about it. It is super helpful for understanding who you are. But long story short, I'm definitely an HSP, and my superpower is I can sense so much of what's going on around me, especially in public settings. So when I'm in a conversation at a party with people, I can sense, and I tend to be very enthusiastic. I tend to be very big. It's just who I am. And I can sense when it becomes too much for the other person. And I suddenly get an urge to retract and be less. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. In that moment, I'm shape-shifting. I'm abandoning myself because of the fear of how the person across from me is perceiving me. And it sends the message to them and to me that their opinion of me is more important than my own opinion of me. So deep down, I almost feel like it's a control issue of I subconsciously am trying to control their perception of me. So other than understanding what we can and can't control, that's step one, what can we do to practically help us care less? Let's call these hacks for the sake of today's conversation. So, number one, the first hack is just understanding that someone will always not approve of you. Someone will always disagree with you. Getting everyone's approval is just simply not possible, you guys. For that to happen, we'd all have to have the same brain, and that would be the most boring world ever, right? So just for me, knowing in advance that not everyone is going to approve of me, it almost takes the pressure off. It almost makes me relax when I walk into a room, just knowing that, look, pleasing everyone is not possible. So just remembering that when you say the thing or you post the thing, someone will judge it. Someone won't like it. Someone might misunderstand it. But the opposite is also true. Someone else will love it. Someone else will be inspired by it. And we talked about this a few episodes back. Y'all, it takes one person. If you brighten one person's day, if you showing up authentically affects one person in this world, it does so much more than you think. So the positives of being authentic are always going to outweigh the negatives. Always. Hands down, every time. Okay, the second hack is knowing that you won't be for everyone. You just won't be. And that's okay. That is okay. This is actually the hack that helps me the most because it brings me back to reality and resets my expectations. One of my favorite quotes is by Dita Von Teese, and she famously said, "You can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world, and there's still going to be someone who hates peaches." There are just too many people in this world with too many different opinions to please. And if you try to please them all, trust me, you're going to please none of them. You just have to understand that pleasing everyone is impossible. So if you can't please everyone, why not try to please yourself? And guys, the more you lock into this, the more you start focusing on pleasing yourself, there's a magic that happens because you feel so aligned and so good that you really stop caring about what other people think. You realize that it's all about you, within you, between your ears, and you care so much less. And here's the third hack. Knowing that you're going to be okay. Guys, if someone doesn't like you or what you do or what you say or what you're about, you have to believe in yourself so much that you know you're okay. You're okay with you. You are acting in alignment with you, and that's all that matters. We almost have to learn how to have our own backs and believe in ourselves so much. And that creates the freedom that we're seeking. Because your worth and your value they're not dictated by how people react to you or how many people like you or how many people agree with you. Our worth and our value exists because we are alive and we are here. That is God-given. We don't need to do anything to earn it. And if you need to write this down on a note card and put it in your car or on your mirror, this is how we stop caring so much about what other people think and really turn it around to what we think. What do we think of ourselves? What do we think of our actions? We also have to expand our tolerance for discomfort in this way because the discomfort of maybe somebody not liking us or what we're doing, it's hard. I think we all know this. It's so hard. But it's worth the comfort of knowing that we're being true to ourselves. If we're looking for joy, which is what this podcast is all about, if we're looking for joy, we have to seek authenticity, no matter how scary it is, because the two just go hand in hand. Because authenticity leads to alignment, which leads to the right people in your life. And isn't that what we want ultimately? We're not trying to attract the people who don't align with us and don't disagree and hate what we do. Let those people fall away. The more you are true to who you are, the more you will attract the people who are aligned with you. And those are our people. And we have to remember that the goal isn't to get everyone to approve of us. The goal is to be so aligned with yourself that approval stops being the goal. Now, I had something happen this week that shifted something for me. Now, I've already had this realization about editing myself for like imaginary judges a long time ago, but just like a few weeks ago, standing in my closet this week, I caught myself doing it again. And let me just pause right here. We've mentioned this before, but this is what life is, you guys. We will come back to these issues over and over and over again, and we get better at them each time we do. But these issues, these things that we get stumped on, they're not just one and dones. Like, we have to practice getting over these issues, and that's what helps. That's what helps us getting past them. So just be prepared that this isn't something that you can just snap your fingers and stop caring. This is a practice. We will have to keep practicing it. I have to keep practicing it too. So I caught myself doing it again this week when I came back on Instagram on my old account. One I walked away from a few years ago when it got too big and scary for me. And when I started caring too much about what other people thought and what other people were saying about me, and it just started to wreck me, and it started to wreck my view of myself. So I took my time away, which was years, and I finally became ready to come back, made my post, and right before I hit that post button, that old familiar voice popped up and said, "What if nobody likes this? What if nobody cares? What if nobody remembers you? What will people think? Why are you coming back after all this time?" And then a different voice popped into my head that was much louder. And it said, "What if somebody needs this? What if somebody needs my voice? What if someone out there is waiting for permission to do the exact same thing?" And I realized something really important. When we hide ourselves to avoid judgment, we're also hiding ourselves from connection and the people who really resonate with us and the people who would laugh with us and smile with us and feel inspired by us and with us, and that we would feel inspired by them. We're hiding ourselves from true heart connection. So I took a deep breath, and I was definitely shaking, and I hit post. And guess what? I didn't die. The world didn't end. No one showed up on my doorstep with stats on how well a post did or how horrible it was, but my people showed up. The people who are aligned with me, who resonate with me, and I resonate with, they showed up in such a big way. And then the people who weren't aligned with me fell away, unfollowed me. And I actually thought it was all so perfect and beautiful. It was exactly what needed to happen. So the goal in life isn't to not be judged. Guys, let me say that again. The goal in life isn't to not be judged. The goal in life is to live honestly enough so that the right people can find you. So your challenge this week, it's not to stop caring overnight what people think of you, because that's just impossible in my opinion, but rather do one small thing that the real you wants to do without asking any imaginary audience or imaginary judges for permission. Because that's where the real joy begins, with you and getting back to you, because there's only one you, and she deserves to be seen, don't you think? I don't know if you guys noticed, but the podcast has a whole new look this year. When I brought it back, I really wanted to refresh it based on where I feel like I am in my life. And it's funny, if you look at the Instagram feed, before everything was very neutral and white. And it was almost this even reflection of me trying to blend in and not offend anyone by bold colors or bright quotes. And this time I just decided, you know what? That's not where I am anymore. I'm not shrinking. I want to live life out loud, and I want to encourage others to live life out loud. And I wanted my brand to be seen like we all should be. And I instinctively knew the disco ball was the perfect emblem, because to me, obviously it represents a party, but more than that, they are the perfect representation of us as humans. Because a disco ball is made up of hundreds of tiny mirrored pieces, and each little square reflects light in an entirely different direction. And when the light hits it, it fills the entire room with those little reflections, little pieces of light dancing everywhere. None of the reflections the same. And I think people are just like that. Each one of us is made up of all these tiny experiences and talents and beliefs and quirks, and we all reflect the world completely differently. Two people can stand, think about it, in the exact same place and experience the exact same moment and reflect something totally and completely different to the world. And none of those reflections are wrong. They're just different angles of the same light that's shining on them. But here's the deal. You put that disco ball in a box, and it is not going to shine at all. Zero whatsoever. It only lights up a room when it's out in the open, catching the light, being freely seen. So when we hide parts of ourselves for approval or for fear of what people think of us, we're basically putting that disco ball back in the box, and the whole room gets darker. But when we show up as who we are, who we want to be, not caring what other people think, not caring if people are judging us, and we just show our weirdness and our creativity, suddenly those reflections start bouncing everywhere. And someone across the room might catch a piece of that light that they really needed. So the best thing we can do, and what the world needs us to do, is to reflect our own angle of light and just let the room sparkle a little more because of who we are. And because we're brave enough, despite what someone might think, despite the fact that someone might judge it, it just doesn't matter in comparison to the light that we have, that we're called to shine. It just simply doesn't matter when you put the two hand in hand. One matters so much more than the other. And I think the more that we remember that, the more that we maybe write some mantras that remind ourselves of that, the more we start to show up and care less and live life more. Just some food for thought on this Tuesday. Hopefully it helps you live a little more joyfully and inspires you to care a little less and be much more you. Thank you guys for showing up again for the Party On podcast. I'm having so much fun being back. I am having so much fun being back on Instagram. You can find me at The Festive Farmhouse, which is my account that I just came back on. Or please, please, please join me at the Party On podcast, because that's where I'm going to be sharing most of the heart conversations and the things we're talking about here. So thank you again for showing up. As always, this podcast is sponsored by The Festive Farm Co. Head to thefestivefarmco.com. It is the best place, if I do say so myself, to find meaningful gifts for friends and family. If you have a friend who is maybe suffering or someone who's lost a loved one, we have grief gifts that you can send them to let them know you care. We also have gifts that help friends celebrate who they are, what they've done, and just their friendship, to thank them for being there for you and circling around you. So head to thefestivefarmco.com, check it out, and we'll see you next week. Party on, friends.